All right, so I'm reading Storm by Tiffany D. Jackson, and back to Ororo. And I know I'm saying her name wrong. And technically, y'all know Storm. You kind of know how her story ends if you're familiar with comics. If you're familiar with Marvel, you know how our Storm story ends. This is like an origin story. And one of the many lessons you keep hearing, number one, she wants to dim herself down. But what happens to those people? And I actually wrote a poem about that. You've been so battered down by life, you can't receive anything. Like even when T'Challa was doing certain things for her, she was very defensive, quick to go off, very abrasive, just felt like he was just trying to do the most. And I remember her kept saying not really, but it wasn't really about love. She just didn't see T'Challa staying with her because T'Challa was guiding her to Kenya because he was on his way back to his homeland. And he's like, well, I have to pass through Kenya anyway, so I'll take you there. And he was trying to protect. And she was like, I don't need you. I don't need this. And then at one point she was questioning whether or not he wanted to stay because she's like, why would he? It's nothing good about me. And it's like because of how life has given her a bad hand. Spoiler alert, her parents get killed. I think she's like 9, maybe 7. And then she ends up having to run the streets with a street gang. They pretty much pickpocket and steal from tourists and give it to the head guy in charge. That's how they're able to live with him and survive and whatnot. And basically she's called a street urchin. She's called trash. And they don't really know some of the things she's dealing with inwardly as far as her powers. She doesn't think they're powers. She thinks she's cursed. And it just made me think as a mentor, as a teacher, and this is my connection on that end. When you get a student like Arroyo, and I apologize, I keep mispronouncing her name. How do you deal with that? Do you automatically cast them off? Do you automatically think they're a problem child, not realizing they probably came from a home life where they didn't know better, they weren't taught better? Because keep in mind, she lived years after in the streets after her parents were killed. So it was like it took her meeting up with T'Challa to finally melt some of that ice around her heart. Even the young lady who's working with her now in the village, she tells her how you need emotional healing. Like you can't really touch into your powers because you have an emotional blockage. You have things holding you back. So as a teacher, as a mentor, I strongly admonish anyone, when you get kids who automatically come off standoffish, don't be so quick to go off. Give them the love. Give them the love, the same love you would want if you were hurting. These kids are hurting. These students are hurting. And that is one thing that, as much as my kid said I was an awesome teacher, I felt like I could have loved harder. Yeah, Miss Jenkins, I feel like I could have loved harder. There was some people, once I hit that wall with some of them, I wasn't trying to knock you down. Some of it I was tired. Some of them I misunderstood their hurt as just being mean and hateful, when the reality is they were hurt. They were damaged and they needed someone to help heal. They needed someone, and that's why I wish we had more mental health therapists or counselors in the schools, more access to that. Like I feel like in a way we need to find out, and maybe this out there and I just don't know, how can we have them access to our kids? Mentoring groups also help, them being involved. Like you hear a lot of people's stories, especially athletes, because I watch sports, how they connect with their coaches, how they connect. Travis Hunter is a very good example. He admitted he was not in the best situation. His mom picked him up. I don't know if they were living in Florida and they moved to Georgia, or they were living in Georgia and they moved to Florida. But either way, she was like, this ain't working. So she picked him up and moved him out. His story is a beautiful story. And I've heard of countless athletes, professional athletes, who they admitted if it wasn't for sports, if it wasn't for a coach, there were other people, if it wasn't for a mentor they got partnered with, their life would not be where it is right now. You have some people, they're determined they're going to get out, and they're going to get out. But you have some people like Arroyo's character, she's so wounded. Like at one point in the story, she tells the young lady who was trying to teach her and trying to help her push past this pain. And she says, I'm not worthy. And that hurt my heart. Even though this is a fictional character, but I'm thinking about all the young ladies, all the young men we have encountered that didn't consider themselves worthy. So that's why they acted out. That's why they didn't push themselves in their grades. So what are you doing to perceive that and combat that and to help them see the greatness within themselves? When it comes to my poetry, when it comes to my books, I want people to see the greatness in themselves. Like there's going to be some books that are going to have you thinking, right, oh my gosh, this is scandalous. But at the end of the day, it's going to be that person realizing there's something great about them. And we want to help them achieve that so much, because that's our ultimate purpose. Our ultimate goal and purpose as a person, not as a minister, not as a teacher, as a person, is to make someone feel like their best self. And there's so many dynamics in this book. I would love to get a class set. Even though I'm not teaching, I would love to do this with my girls as a novel study. One of the things you see quickly with her, and I don't remember if I said this in the previous video that I recorded, she doesn't like to stand out, and she doesn't understand why she's different, because she wants so much to be like everybody else. And I immediately thought about how we talk about affirming our kids and reminding them of who they are, and some of them grab hold to it immediately, and some of it, because of the forces outside, it's hard. And despite the fact that her mother and her father affirmed her and esteemed her and made sure she had the level of schooling that she needed to have, because of how the girls picked on her in Cairo, she did not, I remember her wanting to cut her hair. There's a scene where she goes to cut her hair, and her mother's like, no, like, what do you know? That's not an option. So it's like, as a parent, having to fight the outside norms, trying to corrupt and taint your child's confidence. Like, I just thought about, how do you battle that dynamic? And I thought about, as a teacher, as a mentor, as a parent, sometimes it can't be just us. Sometimes we have to implore our village. Sometimes we have to bring someone from the outside to show our kids it's okay to be different. Someone they can identify with, someone they can connect with. And for whatever reason, parents can talk and talk and talk, and sometimes kids get it, and sometimes kids don't. I know me personally, I just remember my mom put me in Delta Youth Lift. I want to say I was a freshman in high school, and connecting with those girls and connecting with those mentors, which ironically, the mentors in the Delta Youth Lift program were my mom's, not only her sorors, but they were her co-workers. Like, a lot of her co-workers were Deltas, and they were part of the group. Then I know me personally, I've been a mentor since 2000, well, really longer than that, but Rosa's officially started in really 2000, I say 2009, but Rosa started at Coolwood Middle School in 2007. No, 2006, because it was the year Joshua was born. It started in 2006. Of course, we had to shift it. I had to stop with it because I ended up moving like that following December. And but it officially started, I want to say, either at Blythewood or Longleaf. I can't remember which year was which. 2009. So I've worked with girls, and it never fails when we have our meetings, when we have our discussions, how you hear the girls say, that's exactly what my mama said, and she gets, oh my God, you're so like my mom. So all of a sudden it clicks for some of them. I'm not saying that all my girls are in the straight and narrow. I'm not saying all my girls are living their best authentic selves according to the promise and the greatness I see in them. I have some girls, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Some girls I work with, but do they remember some of the talks? Do they remember me pouring to them? I have some girls right now. I'm thinking about one in particular. She's gonna be at the Christmas party. She graduated from Winthrop University. I have a few others who they're in school, about to go applying for graduate school. Just many facets of life, but it's something about connecting them with a group of people. And it doesn't have to be a mentoring group. It can be maybe a church group. It can be Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts. Something that also, is fostering that village, that is strengthening that village. You don't want to connect them with people and they're hearing stuff. And I tell my parents all the time, I'm just trying to reinforce what you teach at home. It's very rare I connect with girls or girls connect with me where what they learn at home is totally opposite of who I am as a person. It's very rare. But it's extreme blessing when every now and again I'll get a text or I'll get an email or I'll run into a Rose and they're like, Mashika, thank you so much. You do this, you did that. I appreciate you. Even to the point now I have mentors who were former Roses who are willing to come back and help with the group. I had another young lady who she was a mentor with the group, and because of her schedule, she's not able to really connect with us. So she reached out and was like, just let me know how I can help financially. I got you. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. The reason why we were able to provide scholarships is because one of the young ladies, she said, I see what you're doing with the girls. So I'm telling you right now, whatever you need for them, I got you. The other young man who helps with the scholarship, really the endowment, his daughter was in the program and he has been with us since day one. And I totally